Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Katherine Young and I'm a creative. And today we are doing a shop along at the Twin Cities Vintage Fest. Now, what's really cool about this Vintage Fest is it's not technically my style. In fact, it is technically the style I grew up with. This one-day expo really focuses on 90s and 80s as vintage, which is kind of wild because it's the styles I grew up with. And, you know, when you look at some of my favorite vintage thrifting channels, Karina Gomez, B. Jones Style, One Sick Kitten, Well Loved Clothing, Tailor Made Style, you know that they are classifying Y2K style as vintage. So really, a vintage festival that's 80s and 90s is even older than that. And I know a lot of you who watch my channel know that my aesthetic vintage tends to be older and farther back than this. And you're probably scoffing at this, like this isn't even real vintage, right? But there's a lot of gatekeeping in the vintage community. There's a lot of like, what is and what is vintage? And what I think is vintage, I'm not allowed to really put that onto other people's ideals of what vintage is. And so my thought is, if there is a group of people that are taking something old, that are refusing to do fast fashion and living sustainably by taking something old and making it their own again, I am all for it. So a lot of the people that are going to be here are going to be younger than me, but I'm super excited to see the vintage because in this situation, I'm the old pro and I get to see all kinds of stuff from my childhood. Today, I'm expecting to see a lot of 90s grunge band stuff, a lot of loud 80s clothing and such, but maybe there'll be some older vintage gems that I will love too. So let's head on in there. And we're heading in now.
So let's head in there now. As you can see, it is absolutely packed. There are so many people here. Cool little photo ops as you walk in. All kinds of small little vendor booths offering a lot of stuff like this. Zubas, how funny is that? $40 for that t-shirt. This is a lot of what I was expecting to see here. A lot of this I feel like I could thrift for cheaper, so I'm not super excited about it. I do like this bleaching that they do to stuff. 20 bucks for something they bleached, I think is a good price. Found this 80s gem for 25 bucks. I really like the color on this. Again, this is kind of what I expected to see here. More kind of 80s, 90s sweaters. I liked this Fair Isle one. It actually was big enough for me, but I'm not really looking for winter wear right now. Um, $20 I thought was fair, but then again, it's just not that special. Look at that. It's a Coogie. I have sold these on eBay for well over $100, so be on a lookout for those. Ooh, this is a good loud sweater. I really like the print on that. I think that's super fun. 30 on that. That's really cool. I like that one. Bright 80s fun. And I thought this one in the back was really neat. That was a really cool Southwest pattern. But as you can see, this is high-end vintage at 150 bucks. You know, there really was a focus on that bright 80s color, and I would say this is considered high end. Because if you're asking these prices for single items, it just that's high end vintage to me. This is not thrift prices for a shirt. So, um, but pretty fun stuff. I love this sweater. I have one in this style. It was made very popular by Taylor Swift's cardigan video. I didn't see a price on this one, but I really liked this one. And then behind it, look, there's like a 40s cardigan. Really cute. I love the cream color. Look, it's from Sears. Super cute. And even a lot of the accessories, like, just screamed like something you would see in the Golden Girls. Got a lot of 80s happening. Um, yeah, just very loud stuff. I'm not necessarily interested in it, but it's fun to see it all curated together. This is what I thought I would see. And yes, that is a $200 t-shirt, folks, with a big old stain on it. But this is the high-end stuff here. These were everywhere. These were these digger piles for $5. I wasn't a fan. It felt like if you didn't have a high budget, you were put on the floor to dig through stuff. And yeah, I just wasn't a fan. Even at the Goodwill bins where I dig through stuff, they at least put it on a table for me. I also didn't think this was accessible for people with different abilities. Here's some beautiful old cardigans. Now, these had some older cardigans, which I thought were really nice. Love that detail on that pocket. But that's 40 bucks. That's a lot for a cardigan for me. Very cute stuff. I I like a lot of this, but the condition isn't great. There's like a lot of pilling. And I kind of feel at the price points they were asking, pilling should be cleaned up on these items. It shouldn't look like it came right from the thrift store. You know, there were holes. And then here's a 40s cardigan, and it had a hole, yes, but look how cheap, 15 bucks. So you can really tell that the older an item was didn't make it more valuable to this demographic. But there was some great old vintage, y'all. I mean, look at that piece. That is exceptional. That is amazing. So that was 140. So that is definitely high-end vintage. Loved this. There were booths that had some old stuff in it that was really fun to see. Look at the feathers. Thought that was so great. And there we got some fun vintage. Everybody had on some fun style. Here was some older jewelry. Look at that Brutalist brooch. That was 35. I really liked that brooch. I thought it was really great. A lot of 80s gold chains, that streetwear kind of style. But there was stuff that I really liked. Like, look at that. That's really cool. Here's a booth that's very curated, like groovy 60s colors, really fun patterns to look at. So, yes, there was absolutely older vintage at this sale. You just had to find the right booth that curated the items. But I love looking at all the bright patterns. I think it's really fun. But yet again, they are, priced higher. And there was older housewares too, which was fun to see that not everything was just 80s. I felt stuff like that was just a little too high. That was probably on the money, but some of it was too high when I felt like I could thrift it. I'm obsessed with this bag. Oh, so cute. I believe it was 45. Yeah, 45. And oh my gosh, how cute is that, right? And here is the moment where I show you all the purses I found that I thought were great. I loved this one. I could see myself wearing it. That's very important for me with purses. I love to use my vintage purses. So that was 48. This one was gorgeous too. Loved that one. 75 for that. I couldn't find the price tag on this one. The price tag you see is not for that purse, so I'm not sure how much this one really was, but I really liked this one. And this one was really inexpensive. So this vendor was only asking 10 bucks for that purse. I thought it was super cute. And 10 bucks for this one too. I thought that was a great price on those, and those were some wonderful oldie purses. Really liked them. So you could find a deal on old vintage purses here. And this, oh, that butterscotch lucite, y'all. I am obsessed with this purse. Ultimately, I realized I wasn't going to like the handle. I like my handles to go over my shoulder, but 26 bucks is not bad for that beautiful kitschy wonder. Oh my goodness. That was a showstopper. I love that piece. Almost added it to my collection, but I ended up passing. But this booth had some great vintage. This one too was a really cute vintage purse. At 28 bucks, I passed, but still really cute. And they had this rock and roller record bus with all kinds of record bins. I thought that was so neat. People really loved it. You can see social distancing really isn't happening here. Very packed event. But yeah, it was really fun to see all the streetwear style. And some vendors really curated nicely. It was really cool to see like this monochromatic uh booth. I thought that was just a neat way to display the vintage items, and they had some really good items. I mean, look at that. Look at that. That is an amazing piece. Woof. So interesting. And that piece, wow. I mean, these are some high-end beautiful items, and 40 bucks isn't bad. And a lot of this I don't think I could thrift. So that is really neat. Loved this piece. I definitely contemplated getting it. That I thought was an absolute stunner. Love the fake fur collar. 55 on that. Just gorgeous. Now, if you haven't seen my For the Love of Vintage collab playlist, y'all, go check that out. It's coming up soon. I'll put a link to that. How cute is that? I love that for Valentine's Day. This booth had some exceptional vintage. Oh, loved this skirt. I couldn't get enough of that detail. Like I could just see that on a grassy hill at an outdoor concert, and it had pockets. Oh my goodness. So great. I couldn't get over the pattern on that skirt. Woof, I was in love. And look at this suit. Oh, so great. And the colors on that. Come through, Liz Claiborne. Oldie but goodie. Love that. Oof, and this skirt, right? This skirt. So fabulous. Floor length pleated in that amazing color. That was a fantastic piece. And I found some ephemera. I love old ephemera, so this booth was right up my alley. Thought this box with this little pinup was super cute. And oops, sorry guys, trying to do this one-handed. It was $12, a little out of my budget for an empty box, but I thought she was really cute. And they also had all these out-of-print tarot decks. Now, you may think these prices are expensive, but out-of-print tarot decks can go for a ton of money, so be on the lookout for those. Loved all the pulp books. It was really fun to see that they had curated such a large amount of them. I really love these books for display, not gonna be honest. I don't tend to read them, but I just think they look so good on display. The graphics are great. And this is my childhood right here. Love Star Trek. Oh, I'm a sucker for Riker. Yeah, you be the judge how much I like Riker. Let's just say it. So all in all, it really was cool to see all this streetwear style happening. This place was packed. There were so many people, so passionate about this 80s and 90s vintage. And y'all, I just love to see it. I love to see it all. It was so much fun to check this festival out. I will definitely come again. And y'all, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you had fun coming with me and seeing what was up at the Vintage Fest.
Okay, so we are done in there. I spent about an hour and a half walking around. I'm a little sweaty, a little hot, wearing the mask, you know. It definitely was what I expected with a much younger crowd. People were really into it, which was really cool. It made me super excited. Even though a lot of the stuff really wasn't anything I was looking for, it was so cool to see so many people shopping sustainably and truly excited about these items. Like you can just feel that passion. You're like, oh yes, that feels good. I did buy two things. So I got this little black wraparound bracelet for $3, and I got this little snake bracelet for $2. So not big spends today, but you know, I thought it was cool. It really wasn't for me, and I'm not the demographic that shops there, you could tell. A couple of things that I didn't get a lot on video was denim was king there. I'm not interested in it, so I didn't film a ton of it, but denim really was a big seller for them. A lot of booths had denim right out front, stacks and stacks of denim. So that must have been a big seller for them. Also, actually, the only thing I truly was disappointed in was there really wasn't any size inclusivity. I think there was all of 2 vendors that took the time to organize their items by size, or even write sizing on the tags. Now, granted, a lot of vintage size vary with vanity sizing in vintage. As a high-end vintage shopper, I am very used to high-end vintage items having their measurements on the tag, so you know what that is. And that just wasn't happening here. Also, they were not put together by size at all, which is a real problem in the vintage community. Oftentimes these vintage sellers want an aesthetic, and so they group all these kinds of clothes together because they want to create an aesthetic on the rack. Well, that's not helpful for people of larger sizes because you literally don't know if there's anything there that will fit you. And that I was a little disappointed in. I was like, hey, younger generation, size inclusivity should be more of a thing for you guys, but apparently it isn't. So other than that, that was really cool. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope this kind of gave you a sneak peek into what the kids these days are checking out. So I had a good time. I loved the streetwear vibe. It was just really neat to see. So I'm glad I could take you along. If you love vintage, thrifting, hauls, creative projects, and more, this is the channel for you. So please subscribe. I upload new videos on Saturdays. So I would love to have you hang out. So talk to you later, guys. Bye.